Hey guys. So starting off, what is art? So according to the book I looked up, art is the visual expression of an idea or experience formed with skill through the use of a medium. I personally think that art's a very broad category. I feel like it can range from paper folded into cool shapes to a super detailed Renaissance portrait. So I think it's something that causes a person to have feelings and thoughts towards it. And I feel like it's such a broad category that it's difficult to draw a line of what is and what isn't art. So that leading into the next question of where do we draw the line between what is and isn't art and what makes a work of art valuable? I think the line of what is and isn't art depends on who's looking at it. So, like for example, many people don't think graffiti all over a building would be considered art, but to others or whoever created it, it's a masterpiece. So, I think that art's kind of in the eye of the beholder. You can't draw a line of this is not art and this is. And I think what makes art valuable is its ability to create a reaction instead of how much money it's worth. But of course, after watching the documentary, it's kind of the other way around. So if a painting or drawing makes a person go, wow, that's amazing, then of course that painting is going to be much more valuable to them. And when I think of valuable art, I think of really gorgeous paintings like Van Gogh or Rembrandt. But to others who don't think those pieces of art are as interesting, to them it may be less valuable. So what is art used for and how can it function in the world? Please be as specific in your examples as you are able. I think art is used to show the artist's creativity and to make an impression on viewers. I think that artists use their art to create a message or share a perspective. It can function in the world to show history or show a new side contra indicating what other perspectives, what people originally think. And I think paintings that are more historic in nature really open up our thinking and perspectives to views of those living in that time period. So that's personally one reason I think that art's really interesting is because you get to see those other time periods that, of course, we didn't live in, but we get to see that person's perspective that was living in that time period. Like, for example, Michelangelo's creation of Adam shows that people in that time were very involved with religion and creationism. Or in Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People, that kind of shows that people in that period were looking for freedom from the monarchy in France. And after reading the book a little bit about differences in color and all that, you can see that in that painting that the people and everybody on the ground is really dark in color, but Lady Liberty is like shining in light, which like really highlights that freedom that people wanted. So what were some key points you learned within the documentary and the readings? So I answered the questions previously before watching the documentary and reading the chapters, but after doing that, it does alter some of my thoughts to those questions. I think to add on to my original thoughts about what makes art valuable is that after the video, it clearly has a lot to do with who owns it previously and impressing others, which I think is kind of sad because people purchasing that art, typically the billionaires, purchased it to impress others instead of because it's gorgeous pieces of art and because they want to hang it in their home. It's more of, oh, I've spent so much money on this. So I think that's a little depressing, but I guess that's life. So some key points I learned from the documentary and readings were that even paintings that are unknown to some can be seen as extremely valuable to others. Like in the video, watching that where they spent like $70 million on paintings I'd never heard of before, but I thought that was really neat that even though some people may not have heard of it, to others it's incredibly valuable. That there are varieties of artists and that they can be trained or untrained and still make amazing pieces of art. After going through the book, I thought that was really interesting looking at some of the pictures of art from people who were trained, like trained artists, and some who had just taken it upon themselves to train themselves, so they were pretty untrained by our standards. But I thought that it was interesting to see side by side comparisons of that. I learned that looking and seeing are two different things, and that in the book, looking is described as mechanical and goal oriented, while seeing is more open, receptive, and focused version of looking. So, of course, with art, seeing is much more important than just looking. I learned that art has many purposes, including for delight, for commentary, for worship and ritual, for commemoration, for persuasion, and for self expression. I really liked reading about the for commemoration part with the Taj Mahal because, I mean, I'd heard a little bit about it, but I thought that was really interesting. I also learned that there's lots of types of visual elements that artists may draw on to make the art more effective, more appealing to the eye, like lines, shapes, masses, and shape. Time and motion can also create more dimensions in the art, and colors and light also help modify our thoughts and feelings towards that art. I really liked reading about that because usually when I do look at art, I feel like that's the thing I'm most drawn to is looking at all the different colors and how something's more highlighted over here in the light than something darker over here. So I always think that's pretty interesting. Um, that there are tons of different patterns an artist may utilize, like contrast or scale and proportion. I remember in high school when we actually did study a little bit about the scale and proportion and something getting closer and all that is going to look bigger. Um, but I think all these techniques are really important in art and it helps us viewers to evaluate our feelings towards the art. So that was pretty good reading, but I really enjoyed the video, even though it was a little depressing that they didn't buy it for the love of the art. But anyways, bye till next time.